I remember, I believe it might have been the first festival I ever went to in 1992. And this was back when it wasn't 5 days long, but we'd come in on a Thursday. We would start training on a Friday. So we go Friday, Saturday, Saturday night. We're testing for different Q ranks and Don ranks, and you would have three different panels of high-ranking people that were training under you, and they would go through these testing processes. And then Sunday after training, we'd have a big banquet, and that's where all the awards would be given out and all these things. But I remember on a demonstration on Saturday night that you did, and I was standing in the back of the room next to Mark Russo, and we're watching, and you were trained. I can't remember who you're training with, but he had, oh, it was Jean Pierre. Jean Pierre was coming after you with a knife, and it was like Fast and Furious, and then there'd be a breakaway, and Fast and Furious, and there'd be a breakaway. And I remember one of these times, Jean Pierre broke away from you, and he lifted up his hand to cut you with the knife, and he went, and the knife was gone. The knife was gone, and he didn't realize it. And you're standing there, and I could just see your hand from the back of the room, and you go, and you point, and it's laying in between his feet on the floor. And he didn't even know it. And that to me was, I'm like, if I wasn't hooked by then, I was like, I am so in right now. It's unbelievable. And I remember I'm like, how does he not know that the knife is laying on the ground? Like he's raising his hand to cut you. And I turned to Mark Russo and I go, did you see that? And he looked at me and he goes, I have no idea. I have no idea what just happened. And I'm like, this is crazy. That was one demonstration. I was like, man, this stuff is just, it's like wizardry to me. That was like a standout, kind of demo moment for me on that particular topic.
Well,
what about you, Hardy?
The demo that I remember the most was my first demo that I did at one of these, it was my second year that I demoed. And An-Shu had come to Mountain Quest, and we had worked on these Kuki Shinden Happo Bikin techniques with a bow and a sword. And we had practiced 4 or 5 techniques, Taki Otoshi and a few other. And this one cool one where you stick the bow in the ground, you take the sword from the guy with your bow. And I practiced it for the few months from Mountain Quest to Festival. And then I was ready. I had my demo buddy, and we bowed in, and we did probably 7 or 8 techniques, but we flew through it. It probably took like 7 seconds to do the whole demo, right? But I was so proud. I was huffing and puffing and breathing and sweating, and I bowed, and everybody was clapping. They're polite, and we left. And I caught An-Shu in the hallway after, and I was like, "So what do you think?" And he said, "It was fast." So that I dropped a little bit, but I had an understanding. It was a very important thing for me to hear at that point. That was not what this martial arts about, and I was making it about what my contemporary perception of martial arts was going to be. I can do it faster, I can do it harder, I can, but maybe didn't show the subtleties that I could have shown had I been played with the time, played with the tempo a bit. So that was my standout.
That's interesting, though. That's interesting because when you look at our curriculum, we've designed it in the beginning, strength, speed, and clever positioning. That's what wins. And that's what people expect. And so when you can teach them a little bit how to be stronger, bend your knees. Don't hunch and scrunch. Keep your shoulders relaxed and your back straight, bend your knees. Well, I'm even stronger than that, and I can be now faster. Because you're in control of your balance, and then gradually you'll get to 2nd degree or 4th degree. The subtlety comes in, and I think that's a great story, Hardy, because you need to go through those. I mean, I could see a misinterpretation of what we're doing. I could see that where people are going, no, you got to move like a master. And I've been doing this for 4.5 months. Does my left foot go or my right foot go? Oh no, just go with the energy and capture. There's and anyway, I think that's important. That we let people experience and grow beyond. kind of grow beyond that.
Well, speaking of growing beyond, we've discussed a lot about Toshindo and festivals past and that sort of thing. While we've got a few more minutes, I wanted to ask, what's in your mind and what's in store for the future of Toshindo? Everybody's been on a little bit of a hiatus. We haven't been able to connect as directly, so we don't get to hear the stories and hear your thoughts at festival and the black belt training. So I wanted to take a opportunity here, and if there's a message for the future or something like that that you'd like to share, this would be a good opportunity to do that.
Oh yeah, I tell you what is the top of my head. First thing that comes to my mind when you ask that, I don't even need to think about it. I am so delighted that in the whole Toshindo network, I mean, we're not huge. I've been doing this for 40 years. We're not the American Taekwondo Association or, we're not huge. We're small, admittedly, but everybody in the group enjoys each other. And now I don't perceive, maybe you guys can enlighten me, maybe when I'm not around, people act differently, but I don't see an enormous, like, caged ego where I'm running my dojo over here and this is the way we do it and we're the best. Oh, well, my dojo is this way and we're the best. I don't see much of that at all. People enjoy each other. They tell stories about the other teachers in their classes, and that is a big deal in the martial arts. I mean, that is a big deal. People who are watching this maybe from other martial arts might kind of recognize what I'm saying with this. Now, if somebody isn't in martial arts at all, well, what is that? But no, that's a big deal. I mean, there's something about studying martial arts that just gets that ego involved. Maybe we're scared. I want to be the roughest. I want to be the toughest. I don't do it like you do, Stephen Hayes. Somebody puts me down, I go hunt them down. I punch their eyes out. Okay. That's a choice you've made. We don't seem to have an enormous ego. So I think that bodes well for the future. Bodes very well for the future. Everybody is enjoying and making progress. Now, second thing I think needs to be said is that we need to be sure to allow our students to progress as to where they're comfortable. So if like this is like white belt and this is super black belt here, they may go along and just kind of hang out here for a little while. Then that's okay. That is okay. I joke around sometimes. I say, well, if I was in a fight tomorrow, I might fight like a second degree. Fight like a second degree. Yeah, that's all I needed. That's all I needed. I didn't have to go into my super stuff. Just let them hang out there. After a while, they'll be like awakened. I remember when I was training in Japan, it was so different from my 10 years of martial art training before that. The classics, we start out distant, we smack, knock around, we come in close, we lock each other up, we come in super close, we take each other down, and there's a killing technique at the end. I mean, it was not about self-defense. It was about how to not be murdered. If somebody's going to be murdered, it's going to be him, not me. And then we all go home to the kids, and if we're lucky. That's the history of this martial art. And I remember I would do about half the technique and just kind of quit. My Japanese training partner goes, well, you didn't do the part on the ground and where you did. I said, no, I didn't do that. Well, I mean, no, I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm just having enough trouble getting this part here. And after a little while, I got that down, and now I went down to the ground. And we've got to let people have that freedom. We can't keep pressuring them. And then, the other thing is, as I mentioned, we're into our third generation in 40 years, 50 years, if you count me being in Japan. I am kind of delightfully open to input from, you know, from you. What do you want to see? What's important? I've done everything I wanted to do in this lifetime. I am so blessed. You know, I live in my dream house. I'm married to my dream girl, and you know, I got my dream kids, dream friends. You know, I marveled about a year ago. I realized I never spend time with people I don't like. I only spend time with people I like. Oh man, how wonderful that is. You know, my dream car and dream travels. So I've done everything I want to do. What do you want to do? What do you want to have this bring into your life? And your students, what are they looking for? What compels them? I mean, Hardy, you know, you're training in the parking lot at 100-degree weather with sun. I mean, when people are still there, they're still training. I mean, what are they hoping to get? Now, if we can find that out, I'm delighted to have my martial art become our martial art and just serve. So I would really request of you and all of our friends who are watching, God, don't yes man me, you know, don't yes man me. I have had too much trouble situation with people get surrounded by yes men. No, what do you want? What do you want this to be? We have everything in this martial art. So why can't it serve? If everybody's waiting for me to make the decision, do they like it or do they not like it? No, so I would say those three things are my excitement for the future. I'm 71. Very excited about the future. I want to see what you guys do.
Well, Scott and I have made an effort to bring back a ninja staple from the early 80s. So you had a newsletter called Musubi, and we're building a site and we're building a social media page and stuff about that, but not everybody was around back then. Could you tell the people that are newer to the art a little bit about what Musubi, what it means and what it meant to people who practiced back pre-internet days?
Oh, yeah. Well, again, before the internet, the only thing was, you know, we would print up a newsletter and mail it. I think we had like 3,000 people at one time. It was that compelling. And, you know, it was like news, what was happening. And it was me teaching things. And Musubi, the reason we chose that name was it's a very traditional Shinto term. And it also has implications in the ninja world. Musubu means to connect. That's the verb, connect. Musubi is the noun, connection. And these kuji hand positions that we do are referred to as ketsuin. And ketsu is another way to write musubu. It's the same kanji. So a connection. So it meant the connection of me as an individual with all that I could be and hope to be. So broadening myself out, and also a connection with all the other people who are studying this martial art as well. So we called it Musubi. And I don't know that I ever explained that, even back in the Musubi days, you know. But then the internet came in, and man, websites were changing, and I don't know, does anybody even use websites anymore? You know, everything's Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and so I salute you. You know, bringing back this Musubi. It is connection with my potential and connection with my community at the same time.
Yeah, I think what our intentions are to do is to kind of use the format that you had with Musubi and these articles that you wrote, and then on occasion you would put like a technique or something that you had just brought back with you from Japan that you were learning with your teacher there, and we are going to collectively explore some things that we're working on, and maybe Hardy kind of gave us a taste of that earlier. Have some very short video clips that, if you're open to it and we move forward with this, as we would like to with you, have like kind of a monthly conference to where we can discuss some things that we have learned or working on, or things that we're finding out that people want to explore, and then have have a live discussion on it, kind of like what we're doing now. And that would be kind of the digital version of Musubi.
No, I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. Number one, you're keeping the idea of this Musubi alive, connection with my potential and connection with my community. The more you can share, the more insights. I'm not the only guy talking, I still have people who listen to me, and then somebody else says something to them and they go, oh, and they get it. I'm sure you have the same thing that with certain years. Hey, I've been telling you that for months. Yeah, but she said it in a way that it resonated with me. So I'm cool with that. I think we take advantage of the medium, and this COVID thing has just taken Zoom to the top. There are going to be developments. Of course, we're in the capitalist free enterprise system. There are going to be new developments with Zoom that'll come with that. The idea of getting together once a month with like a little Zoom thing. Here's what I've been working on. Here's what I'm getting out of it. Somebody from somewhere else, 1,000 miles away says, hey, here's what I've been doing. And we can find common pathways or new insights, and we cover all the areas, the physical technique, the strategic understanding of conflict and how you deal with conflict in the 21st century is very different from the 80s. Very different from the 80s. What you say and how you interact with the police afterwards, it's just totally different. And so we have to address that. We need to address that. We can't be teaching 1980s, I'm the tough guy, and you say something to me, I'll smack you around. Yeah, you're going to jail. So technique, good technique, strategic use, and then the third part, the personal development. How are you a stronger, more authentic human being? This old idea of the tatsujin, an accomplished person. Hey, I'm still working on that. That's what I want to be. I want to be in command of every situation that I come into, whether it's consoling a crying child or maybe breaking up a couple of people that are enraged at each other, or helping people see the political landscape in a little different way. I want to be that. I want to be the tatsujin, and that becomes our, motivation behind this Musubi. So I'll be delighted to see what you do with this. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for sure.
Yeah. Now, what's your timeline?
Well,
go ahead, Scott.
I'm thinking, since this is so for everybody who's watching this live or on a replay, this will be our final episode for the first season of the show. We'll go on a little bit of a break for probably about a month to a month and a half. So I think the way Hardy and I have timed it out is, before we start the second season of the show, we will have our first edition of Musubi. So, Hardy has done a great job so far as populating, it's starting to populate. People's awareness is there. We've thrown some different pieces of information on what others' initiatives are that are within our community. So people are kind of dialing in and watching and liking what's happening, but we haven't launched an official Musubi digital newsletter yet. So I would say probably look forward in the next month to month and a half.
Okay.
But there'll be little things that will happen before we get to that, that program.
Sure. Another thought that I have, I've really enjoyed watching the shows that you've done, and you've had some people like outside of the Toshindo world, but they are very, I don't know what, they just have a different brand name they use on their thing, but they're, and I would really encourage you to figure out how can we do that? Because I can see people say, "Oh gosh, you know, I don't do Toshindo, I do tic tac toe, or you know, I do this one or that one." And but I'd really love to be a part of what you're doing. Somehow, be able to invite these people in. We make it a developmental community thing. We're not talking about belt ranks or
Sure.
diplomas or who's your grandmaster or any of that kind of stuff. Anybody who empathizes with us or sympathizes with us or is excited by what we're doing, you know, create a room for them, you know, because I think there's a lot of going to be a lot more floaty people, you know,
Sure.
from the school that I originally studied at in the 70s. You know, things are going to change in the next year or so. And people are going to be looking around, and you don't have to convert and become a Toshindo person. And no, just come play with us, enjoy, share your progress. As long as you, um, you know, as long as you agree with us, you know, I mean, somebody maybe doesn't agree. No, we use thrash and bash and womp and stomp technique. They're not going to be interested in following what we're doing anyway. So, but so I would encourage you to figure out a way to invite, you know, a lot of people. I mean, I was just watching the show with Juan Hernandez. I haven't seen Juan in years. I was amazed at the stories he remembered, you know,
Yeah.
and beautiful, beautiful. And Yossi Sheriff, I've never met him, but I was very impressed. What a guy. Uh, you know, if these people are interested in what we're doing, invite them in, you know.
Well, we've had such, from Hardy's perspective and what he has done, and from all of the different folks that have kind of traveled into, your sphere of influence and the things that you brought to the table over the past 40 years. As people come and go, but you make friendships that can last a lifetime. And just because they're not training in a school every day, that doesn't mean they're not our friends anymore. So that's what we were thinking, is it's not like they're against what we're doing. They're just
Yeah.
not in the same line of what we're doing, but they still have something. We felt they had something valuable to offer. So I think, I don't want to speak for Hardy specifically, but we are glad that you're open to that, because we have plans to go even further, with it, just to expand the idea of what people can bring, to the format that we're going to create. So we're gonna stretch it even further.
Oh no, I think that's wonderful. And again, I think just the the common connection, and people are going to make the decision on their own. Do they agree with realistic, ever shiftier, spooky, mysterious, going to stab you with a knife and the knife is down on the floor kind of training? Do they believe, is that what they want to do? And do they believe that that we have a responsibility? There are codes. There's a 14-point code of mindful action. There's this 8-point self-development code. There's a 6-point hero in activity code. Can they subscribe to that? And the third thing is, do they want to be, a stronger, more authentic, more admirable person? And if they got those three, brand name doesn't mean anything. We had to come up with a brand name, so we picked Toshindo. But I even say, we're just teaching non-denominational martial arts. Anything that a hater could do to me, I'm going to practice how to not have that happen. That's what we're doing here. Oh, okay. So yeah, encourage people if they would love to be involved in it. More power to us. More power to us.
I want to ask, while we've got you here, before we wrap up, a lot of people are having a stressful time dealing with all the complications from COVID, and and maybe they're not able to get into their dojo to train as much as they want from a seasoned experienced martial artist perspective. Are there things in our training that people should sort of fall back on to help get them through this? Are there things that that you've experienced, from the Kuji practice to just the student creed or code of mindful action? Like, are there particular things that you fall back on to recenter and resettle yourself when things get a little turbulent?
Yeah, there is. I don't know how this is going to translate. But what I do is, kind of like a ninja, I look at things from different vantage points. So we're restricted to our house. Rumi and I have thoroughly enjoyed that. We don't go to restaurants anymore. I learned how to cook. I can make steak now. So I tease people. I say, I can make steak and I can make ice. Those are my two cooking things. Yeah, I'm getting kind of good at that, and we sit on our deck out in the trees and birds chirping, and it's so much better than being at the best steak restaurant in Dayton. So we just have to learn to see it in a different light. What is the advantage that I'm getting here? My daughters are having to put up with all these crazy school board teacher union and all this stuff in Dallas and Philadelphia. It breaks my heart, and they're doing their best, but the kids are confused and fed up, and it's just totally unfair what we're doing to our kids. But anyway, how can they work with those kids to allow them to see a value? How do we make it fun? How do we make it enjoyable? Even wearing masks, Oh, I don't want to wear a mask. Well, you should wear a mask, just put it on. Sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll have the mask on and I'll mumble on purpose. I see people trying to understand me. I'm just screwed with you. We're having fun here. Yes, even wearing a mask could be fun, and hey, how many people back in the 80s, had the mask on and skulking around the backyard and yeah, now you get to wear a mask. You get to wear a mask. So I think, the idea is to be so enamored of the joy and the beauty of being a living being, and I'm alive. And in America, I mean, some other people outside America, but I mean, America, we have a lot of leeway here, a lot of freedoms, and you can do what you really want to do. You can do what you want to do. How blessed we are, and just to keep that freshness, just seeing it from a little different view might help people. But at the end of the game, the end of the day, I'm alive. I live in a beautiful place, maybe with somebody I love and I care about. How have I discovered new things about them? How have I had new conversations that we just never did because she was busy and he's busy and we're zooming around? You just sit down with something to drink and make up games. Hey, tell me about the time when you were, like, in your whole life, the most embarrassed. Well, I mean, seriously, how many married couples do you know that he could answer that for her? Well, we just never talk about that. Why not? Mm-hmm. Hey, what was the proudest that you ever were in your whole life? What makes you the most proud, or you remember being proud? And just listen. Oh gosh, we do that. Hey, what made you the most angry in your life? What was the most angering thing, and what did you do about it? you could just fill up a whole night talking to somebody you care about with those kind of questions. So you just have to see this as an opportunity. See this as an opportunity, and believe in yourself, and appreciate being alive, a living being. That would be my recommendation.
That's great advice, and so appreciate that. And Scott, you got any takeaway questions or final things while we've got the man on the screen?
Well, this has been interesting because with all the other guests that we've had, I think this is the only guest where I'm like, I feel like I'm in class. So I'm paying attention just a little bit more to what's being said and not really thinking of those things that that I would normally want to ask.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, An-Shu with many of the guests. Oh, okay. With many of the guests that we have, we always feel like there's more. You know, there's more that could be said. There's more that we could talk about. So I kind of feel like, you know, we've run the gamut of some things that, you know, talk a little bit about the past, see what's going on currently right now, kind of progressing into the future. This was the idea that we have talked about with Musubi, is that now we're going to stay in real time. What's going on? Let's look at these principles, whether they're taijutsu or mind science related or current event related, and just kind of extrapolate and, you know, using kind of your words, just can we just speak freely about, you know, tactfully, of course, but speak freely about what's going on and just kind of get, you know, clear out all the obstacles and just get to what is happening right now. Because I feel like so many people will have an avenue to be able to, even if it's not directly, be able to hear things that you are talking about with all of the experience that you've had. And that's what we want to bring, you know, to people. And then as we learn, be able to express it ourselves and maybe check in with you and our seniors and be like, you know, is this kind of what you had an idea of? Are we going in the right direction? And just constantly get that feedback for the benefit of everyone else that's watching.
Well, I think that is what a noble ideal, Scotty. That's it. I think the two things maybe I could wrap up with here that I would love to see this Musubi concept become is, number one, everybody gets to communicate. I think I've said it for so many decades now, but you know, people hear it and they don't really hear it. No, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. What are you looking for? I can talk all about all this stuff, and if it isn't what you're looking for, it's a waste of time. What do you call golden advice when you don't have a question? Meddlesome advice, you know? No. What is your question? So we want to encourage people to not just tune in. You know, I see this on Zoom, you know? I'm on Zoom things, and
I was there for one of them. I know exactly what you're going to say.
people are like, this. Oh, God.
Hold on. I remember. Oh yeah, don't laugh too hard, An-Shu.
Yeah, I'm not,
Don't take that long off again.
yeah.
But, I remember the one that you recently did where there was some convention that was going on and somebody was posting that you were going to be live on Zoom. And they're like, come in with your questions. And, you know, I was like, I want to tune in and see what's going on. But to your point, naturally, like people get there and then all of a sudden they have nothing to say because they're just expecting you just to talk. So somebody asked a question and you answered the question and then you went, and it was like the longest waiting time. And I felt it and I'm like, I feel like anyway, I know exactly what he's doing. He's not going to sit there and be a talking head for your enjoyment. You wanted to be here. You better freaking participate. But it's like, you could see you just holding on like, I'm not going to be that guy who's going to say something without saying it. I was like, this is so uncomfortably great. Genius.
Well, you know, no, that's it. So this Musubi idea is we want everybody to communicate. Now, we all know we have a few friends that communicate a little too much. So we'll have to learn how, oh, that's good right there. That's enough. Now let's work with that. Yeah, just cut that. Yeah. But I think that, yeah, it's not a typical Zoom where you just sort of fall into the lounge chair. watch, and we're going to dazzle you with our monkey show here. No, this is very involved. And the second part would be, wouldn't it be nice if, with our guidance, of course, our guidance, we have our 3 goals that we talked about, our guidance, but no, we get very, what am I trying to think of? But very personal, real questions. Nobody has to say, well, I'm better not ask that because that would be impolite. No, ask that question. Ask that question. Even if it is impolite, ask that question because there's always a reasonable answer. That's what we can guarantee you with Toshindo. There's always a reasonable answer. Ask that question. No, we'd prefer it if it was polite, but even if it's not, really be engaged. Don't just be like, well, I'll take this part and I'll take this part, but I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that. Jeez, there's too much of that in the martial arts. My scene, my vision, too much of that in the martial arts. Well, I did a seminar for 2 days, so now I'm qualified to teach this. Oh God, what?
Yeah.
People don't believe in lineage anymore. They don't believe in lineage anymore. You have somebody that you see above you that has some secrets you'd like to get, has some insights. I'm going to hang around with this dude here. I'm going to get that. And then you look around, whoa, what? People are hanging around me? They think, yeah. And now there are people hanging around behind those people. And that's how a lineage happens. Let's celebrate it. It's not about rank or anything like that. You just wear shirts and pants. It's the honest opportunity to have a chance to ask what you want to ask and find out what you really want to find out about, even if you're given a partial answer. This is the answer for you right now. Later it's going to change, but if we went into that, you wouldn't buy it anyway. So we're just going to leave it right here. And so I think this Musubi, the idea of connection, be honest with myself. What do I really want to get out of this? I have a beautiful opportunity, a wonderful art, a room full of people who care about me. What can I get out of this? And then, the broader connection. Isn't this cool? Isn't this wonderful? We're above arguing, sure. We're above competition. Yeah. We're above him and me and her. No, we're just all of us using this together. I think it'll be a wonderful opportunity for us to invite the world in. So I'm very excited. Love to see what you're going to do with this. And only request is let me play now and then.
Sure, absolutely.
We encourage it.
Yeah.
An-Shu, thank you so much for joining us on episode 15 of the show. It has been an honor speaking with you and getting some insights, and we look forward to speaking with you. And I was going to say hopefully, but I don't like that word. We will see you soon.
Absolutely. Artie,
thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate it.
Enjoyed this opportunity to talk about my views, and hopefully this will stimulate feedback. You don't have to agree with me. You might have a different view that you want to put out there. I certainly encourage that, but let's keep this communication. Let's keep this Musubi connection going. There's nothing, but everybody has so much to gain from this. Hey, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your first complete set of shows. I'm very excited to see where you're going next.
Thank you so much.
An-Shu. Have a great night and a great weekend.
Have a great night, sir.